Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. So you can see I've taken the Dark Elves, and we're going to be facing up against the High Elves. So this is a game, friendly match between myself and the Gabo King. He was wanting to workshop his High Elf build a little bit, and try and make some different things work, try and get the build hammered out so that he could take it to ladder. So let's go ahead and take a look at my build, and then we'll see what he's bringing. For myself, I've got two Cold One Knights, one on each flank. The center pocket is Dread Spears, one on each flank as well. Black Arc Corsairs mixed with two Hargoneth Executioners. We've got two Dark Shards with shields. Canine Assassin, who's a decent duelist. He's alright in melee. He's only got 30 armor, but he does have 70 melee attack, 330 weapon strength. He also has very good missile damage and lots of ammunition with his little hand crossbow. Some decent abilities as well. He's got this, he can imbue his weapon with Discourage. He has a weapon damage buff as well. He can do this Assassin's Trophy, which is kind of like, single model debuff on a hero or lord. He's also got the Web of Shadows, which is kind of a snare and direct damage ability. Very useful stuff. And that's about it for my build. For Gabo King, he's got two Grey Eagles, one on each flank. The main line is White Lines of Trace mixed with Swordmasters of Hoeth, two Lothern Sea Guard, or make that three. He's also got a Noble on a Chariot, which is very interesting. He's got anti-infantry, armor piercing, lots of good stuff going on there. He's also got Teclis as his Lord. He's carrying Net of Talk, Enfeebling Foe, and Regrowth, as well as his potion, and the Kane's Ring of Fury as well. Looks like he's got both his items also. Let's go ahead and kick things into full gear. So I'm going to go ahead and take this high ground here so that we can kind of engage this way and, get a more favorable position. The goal here is to use my Cold One Knights to help tie down these eagles when they dive in, help tie down this noble on the chariot, and so let's see how we can do with that. In the mainline engagement, Gabo King's definitely got superior infantry, but I do outnumber him, so let's see how we're able to do. The chariot's going to come straight into the front here, punch right through these Black Arc Corsairs, get some nice attacks there, does a little bit of shock damage, about 10% of their HP, but then it's going to immediately go back and get on these Dark Shards, which is very good play. It's exactly what it wants to be doing. Gobble's also bringing these Eagles back to, again, just tie down these Dark Shards here. We do have these Cold One Knights on station, so we're going to be bringing them around, trying to tie down these high mass units. So you can see he's going to pull back away. The main line engagement's going off. I didn't get a great countercharge there, but in some other pockets we will get a nice countercharge. These Hargoneth Executioners fighting up against the Swordmasters of Hoeth here. Very atrocious fight. And now that the Eagles have pulled back away, the Chariot's pulled back out, we're just going to bring the Cold One Knights through the front line and just, pancake these White Lions and the Swordmasters over here. They're going to take quite a bit of shock damage from that armor-piercing charge from the Cold One Knights, and the Eagles have now circled back around. A very nice ring from Teclis going off. Doesn't do too much damage on the first two, but it absolutely roasts this Black Arc Corsair and these Dread Spears here in the back, so that's very good for Gabo. We've got the snare going off. This is probably a bit early to pop that from the Canine Assassin, but you can see the Grey Eagles actually got the Web of Shadows on it. We're going to be getting these Cold One Knights back here to pop it. We've got the Murderous Prowess now going off, so again, just tying down both these Grey Eagles here. We are losing somewhat here in this pocket, but we've been able to win out on this flank over here. The Noble, however, is about 50% HP, maybe 60%. He's continuing to rampage around, going to be getting healed from Teclis with a very nice regrowth there. So going to be bringing him back up to full. This unit of Black Arc Corsairs has taken a ton of bow fire, but also we are continuing to be able to shoot with the Dark Shards from the high ground, shooting into the rear of these Swordmasters. They're going to take quite a bit of damage from those repeater crossbows. We're also bringing in the Cold One Knights again for another charge, trying to tie down this chariot here. But also, I'm content with getting a nice charge on these Swordmasters of Hoeth. Of course, the armor piercing of the Cold One Knights is going to do very well there. So we're just going to continue on through. Lots of fire still from the Lothern Sea Guard. I really don't have a good answer for them at this point. I'm having to allocate my Cold One Knights to, get in on these other threats here. We're going to get these guys in on these White Lions. And Malekith's taking a bit of fire, but with the Soul Stealer and everything, he's a pretty hard target to kill. You can see a very nice breath spell going down there on those Lothern Sea Guard. And we've just been continuing to use that breath spell. I don't get to see it too often. I don't get to show you guys, but yeah, it's really useful. Been getting some dragon breaths as well. Gonna get a nice attack animation there. Didn't actually do any damage, unfortunately, but that's alright. We're continuing to pull some magic off here. Very nice Nets of Amantok to tie down Malekith and a lot of these units here. But we are breaking through. Most of the infantry for the High Elves is broken. It's just the Lothern Sea Guard. This one unit of White Lions as well is about to break through on the flank. It's a bit unfortunate for me, but Teclis is surrounded by the Cold One Knights over here. He's in a bad situation. You can see the chariots being perpetually chased by the Cold One Knights. So that's very, very nice for me. You know, that anti-large armor piercing damage is going to be tough. And Teclis doesn't have the mass to get away from this fight, so he's going to take a lot of damage here. And the Cold One Knights are actually enraged, so I don't have to micro them at all. We're going to bring the Knight Assassin up. Another very nice breath spell going down there on those Lothern Sea Guard. We're just going to bring him up to try and use his Discourage ability to get some of these really low troops out of the fight. The Chariot charging into these Cold One Knights is not going to be great, but the support of the Lothern Sea Guard here, they probably will be able to pull the Cold One Knights out of the saddle. Meanwhile, over here, the Black Ark Corsairs finally engaging on these Lothern Sea Guard. They'll be able to cut them up pretty well in this fight with the support of these Dread Spears here, so that's going to go well for me. You can see I've now popped that Power of Darkness on the Knight Assassin. Since he's relatively healthy, just trying to pull some extra magic out of him. He's going to get almost run over there by the Chariot, but didn't quite make square contact. This White Lion's broken through, and I haven't quite noticed here, not microing very well with these troops, but I'm going to push these Cold One Knights after Teclis, try and keep him off the battlefield, but since he's a lot faster, he's going to wisely pull away, come back down towards his forces here. But this Lothern Sea Guard's pretty much broken off. The White Lion's rallying, but very, very low. This unit of Lothern Sea Guard is fighting a few Hargoneth Executioners. There's not too many left, but those that are left are going to be getting some really nice attacks in here. Meanwhile, we've got Malekith and the Knight Assassin over on this other group of Lothern Sea Guard, just trying to rout these guys off because Teclis is very low and that Noble's very low. However, I don't really have the tools to catch them at this point, so I really just need to win on army losses. I'm going to be dropping another Soul Stealer, that's what it is. Soul Stealer on the Noble there, continuing to drain away his health and just keep Malekith nice and healthy. Keep the balance of power tipped in my favor. At this point, it's going to be pretty tough for Gabo to come back, but you can see these White Lions getting Last Samurai a little bit here by the repeater crossbows, but they're very, very low. Only 19 unit models left, about 500 HP, but they were able to make contact there. Another nice Net of Amantok here, tying down all these troops, but at this point, it's going to be pretty rough for the High Elves to try and come back. He's got a pocket of troops rallying here. With Teclis, he's got another troop here that's rallied, so if he can bring all these guys back in, another Fiery Ring of Troy, whatever it is, I forget. Let's actually look at what the name of that ability is. Let's see. Kane's Ring of Fury, that's it. It's Fiery Convocation, basically, on a bounce spell. But now it's just this Lothern Sea Guard left. We're going to push Malekith over here while we just keep these Cold One Knights that are still in here, and the Dread Spears and everything, just chasing after Malekith, trying to zone him out here. And what little Lothern Sea Guard have rallied here, they're not going to be able to do too much damage. But we're just going to bring Malekith down and try and finish these guys off. And although they do have spears, they're not going to be able to stand up to this kind of beating. So Darth Malekith going to be carrying the day here. And looks like it will be a victory for the Dark Elves. Just trying to wrap things up here. This High Elf on the Noble, though, getting 74 kills, very decent, and surviving until the late stage of the battle. It's very, very good for him. Definitely see the benefit of this guy. So on the horse, he has anti-large armor piercing, which potentially could have been more useful if he had gotten the anti-large armor piercing on a Malekith in a duelist situation, and then use, you know, maybe the enfeebling foe from Teclis. Could have potentially done a lot of damage, but the Chariot as well did a lot of work against the Dark Elf infantry. And I believe Gabo actually posted a video earlier of him using a similar build on the ladder. And we'll go through what he changed in the end screen here. But just tying things up here, it's not going to be too good for the High Elves. Teclis is trying to hold his leadership together here. He's popped another potion to heal himself, but that's going to be it. Can't hold his leadership together, so the High Elves break on army losses, and it's going to be a victory for the Dark Elves. So, very well played to Gabo King. Thank you very much for that battle. Let's go ahead and have a look at the army breakdown. We can kind of talk about some different things here. So when me and Gabo were talking after the battle, he said, you know, the biggest issue here is I didn't have an answer for the Cold One Knights. And so if you look the battle he posted today, I'll have a link to his channel in the description below, by the way, so you guys can go check it out. But the battle he posted today, basically he had cut these 2 Grey Eagles and gone with some Phoenix Guard, and it changed up a few other things slightly. Overall, it was mostly the same, you know, White Lions, Sword Masters, and then he got a couple Phoenix Guard, and that would help fend off these Cold One Knights, and just a little bit of workshopping this build. The Sword Masters of Hoeth and the White Lions of Trace, these 2 at least, getting some really nice kills. The other ones they were the ones that got charged by the Cold One Knights, so they didn't do quite as well. You can see these Cold One Knights, one of them getting 1 chevron, the other getting 3 chevrons. These guys did some great work. Dark Shards with shields getting some good work in as well. One of the units of Hargoneth Executioners got shut down pretty hard, but the other one managed to get 103 kills with the support of the Cold One Knights. Black Ark Corsairs mostly got beat down in the center, but they're mostly outclassed by the High Elf Infantry, so no big surprise. Dread Spears as well, mostly just there for a holding force. Malekith getting 55 kills and doing a lot of damage, and of course the Terror and everything. K-Knight Assassin, you know, I'm not super sold on this guy yet. He's a very good character and very powerful potentially. I just don't know that I've used him properly here. But, you know, I'll have to keep tinkering around with him to see how well he works. So, Gabo went on to use this build very well on ladder from what I saw in his video. So, let's go ahead and take a look here at what I did after that battle. I decided to change up the build a little bit and take something similar into a ladder battle versus the High Elves. So as you can see, I've actually got 4 Cold One Knights. So the 4 Dragon Prince build has been very popular recently, and it's very good actually. I've tried it out myself, and I'll be having a replay later on this week about that, but this is kind of my counter to that build. Granted, the Dragon Princes, I believe, will win in a straight-up charge against the Cold One Knights. I haven't tested that out myself, but I would imagine they would. But the anti-large armor piercing is going to be very good, and potentially with the support of the Dark Shards, maybe some of these Witch Elves, we can lock them down and keep them from cycle charging. Could turn into a very advantageous situation. So, Malekith again with his standard loadout. Front line's a mix of Dread Spears, Black Ark Corsairs. We've got the 2 Witch Elves in reserve, ready to jump in on high-value targets. Of course, 2 Dark Shards with shields, and the 4 Cold One Knights. We've got 2 deployed in the back here in a defensive position, another one deployed on this flank, and my goal is I'm going to push forward onto this ridge and kind of take this ground here to where this nice rocky outcropping is protecting my flank. That way, if he does have any, you know, shenanigans, they're going to have to go all the way around, and it's going to take them a lot longer to get into the fight. So, for my opponent's build, he's gone with a very small elite army. He's got 3 Swordmasters of Hoeth with 2 Phoenix Guard, Mage with High Magic with Apotheosis and Arcane Unforging. He's got a Flamespire Phoenix as well, a Prince on a Sun Dragon, and 1 unit of Dragon Princes. So a very small elite army. It's going to be a bit of a struggle here, but I'm going to have to be very careful that I don't get caught out in the air. You can see a very nice Poison Breath going down on those Phoenix Guard, but I'm going to immediately pull away here. I do not want to take this engagement head-on with these 2, so we're going to pull back towards my forces, and basically I'm going to pull in here and kind of come around this way. So that way, when I turn around to fight, the the Phoenix is going to be, the Phoenix and the Prince is going to be on this side of me. But my opponent wisely pulling away here, but we're going to get him baited back in here. A Soul Stealer there just to restore what little health Malekith did lose. But my opponent's force is now advancing here, and this Dragon Prince is currently hidden in the woods. I had no idea it was over here, but we're going to be able to do okay. Malekith, you can see now initiating that maneuver. He's going to pull around this way. Whereas we're just kind of bracing for the charge here in the mainline fight. I know I'm going to lose pretty hard, but if we're able to use the Witch Elves to lock things down, and because my opponent doesn't have a lot of cavalry, I can use the armor piercing of the Cold One Knights to, you know, get in on his armored infantry. So the mainline engagement now going off here. You can see the Black Ark Corsairs engaging on the Swordmasters of Hoeth. We've charged through with the Witch Elves as well. Going to be locking these guys down in combat with that Enrage. You can see the aerial duel has ensued over here. Let's go ahead and get a slow-mo look at this. So the Phoenix and Malekith and the Prince all in this kind of dogfight here in the air. But it's going to be tough because my opponent really doesn't have the numbers to account for everything. And look at the burst damage from those Dark Shards. They're absolutely just blasting this Prince, and he's going to have a really hard time getting out of this fight. A nice chunk from Malekith as well, and one more volley from those Dark Shards should pretty much finish him off. You can see he goes down there, and boom! The Prince drops. So a very rough situation for the High Elves to lose their Lord early on. Going to be dropping another Soul Stealer on that Flamespire Phoenix just to keep Malekith nice and healthy. You can see the Cold One Knights have charged through in the center, broken through on the Swordmasters of Hoeth. Of course, the White Lions are continuing, or not the White Lions, the Phoenix Guard are continuing to hold out. They're a very defensible unit, but already my opponent's pretty far behind on the balance of power. He did get his Dragon Princes around and rear charge this unit of Cold One Knights and absolutely wiped them out. But we're going to be responding now with the Witch Elves and the other units of Cold One Knights. You can see we're kind of impeding their charge a little bit. They're going to get a decent charge into the flank here, get some really nice shock damage done on these Dark Shards. But we're now going to countercharge in with these Cold One Knights and these Witch Elves as well. They've now got a couple attack animations in, so you can see the Enrage proccing on the Dragon Princes, so they're not going to be able to pull away and cycle charge like they need to. They're just going to get clogged up in here with all these armor-piercing, anti-large, Cold One Knights. And Malekith himself is very healthy still, going to be not really too much for him to worry about. He's going to come breathe some nasty poison breath on this Mage of High Magic here. She took quite a bit of damage from that, and not too happy from the leadership debuff from the poison. Now going to be fighting the Phoenix one more time here. It did rout, but rallied. This Phoenix Guard here taking some fire on the flank from the Dark Shards with shields. You can see the Phoenix actually gets its heal proc there, so it kind of dies and then comes back at almost full health, or at least up to its healing cap. But it still just doesn't have the raw combat stats to really get through Malekith here. And these Phoenix Guard just getting surrounded and circle beaten by Witch Elves, and although they are kind of designed to beat units like Cold One Knights, if they're surrounded and just kind of taking continuous damage like this, it's gonna be really bad for them. Their melee attack is also lowered by that Enrage, so that's pretty rough. The Mage of High Magic got kind of tangled up in here, and the Dragon Prince is still holding out, but a few more volleys of the Repeater Crossbow is going to bring them down, see them off. And at this point, the High Elves are going to break on army losses, and that'll be all she wrote. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching those two Dark Elves versus High Elves classic matchups. Yeah, so this build I think is pretty good. The Cold One Knights are a great unit against the High Elves. The armor piercing is good against their infantry. The anti-large can help deal with the Dragon Princes. You guys saw though, those guys still got 70 kills. Dragon Princes are the real deal for sure. But my infantry didn't do too well. Mostly got just destroyed by those Swordmasters. But the Cold One Knights really just cracking one open there. Really carried the day. The Dark Shards as well doing some excellent burst damage. I mean, that Prince went down in probably about 15 seconds, honestly. So that was amazing. So hope you guys enjoyed watching that. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day. So stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.